Greetings, class. Thank you for joining me for this discussion in telling the story of postbellum America. For my discussion, I chose to focus on J.P. Morgan, and so utilizing some primary source material from the Morgan Library and Museum, the Library of Congress, and Morgan Family Records, we will try to go into an overview of Morgan's life and kind of review his experience during the postbellum period, as well as his impact on the American economy, and particularly big banking and major finance during this postbellum period heading into the 20th century. Born John Piermont Morgan in 1837 to the wealthy Morgan family, J.P. Morgan had a pretty well-off childhood and was really guided a lot by his father. And so after initially completing some extensive education guided once again by his father, he began working with his father for the merchant banking firm George Peabody and Company. And so throughout the Civil War period, the Morgans continued to delve into trading through their New York office and ultimately made a lot of profits through the purchase and sale of bonds, particularly Union bonds during the Civil War, as well as profiting from gold, as the gold market was fluctuating heavily at that time and really taking a downturn. He was actually able to manipulate in a very questionable manner the price point and was able to sell his gold holdings and make a quite considerable profit. And so this really set him up well for the postbellum period. So in the postbellum period, Morgan's business ventures delved out a little bit. They included, of course, those in the banking world, but also in helping finance other American industrial interests. And he also pursued some of his own interest in the steel and railroad industries as well. And so in his early years, he began to continue his service in what was then the Dabney Morgan and Company firm. And then in the late 1860s and 1870s, his business ventures really started to focus on the railroad industry, which was, of course, budding and booming during the postbellum period. And this began with his major role in the seizure of the Albany and Susquehanna Railroad in 1869. And then into the 1870s with Drexel Morgan and Company, he was a major player in getting European investment in the United States and really helped lead the financing of a lot of the American railroad system, as well as kind of stabilizing the American financing and fiscal markets of that era. Into the 1880s, he continued this focus on railroads, really helping to develop and finance the national railroad system, in large part due to reorganization and consolidation to enhance efficiency and ultimately growing into larger business as a whole. And so according to syndicate records from the Morgan financial firms, in 1883, Morgan began merging in markets from the New York Central rail line. Later in the 1880s, he also did this with the New York, West Shore, and Buffalo railroads, and also with Philadelphia, Reading, and then the Chesapeake and Ohio, and continued even further with different business interests, helping to create consolidations and mergers with things like the General Electric Company in the early 1890s. And so he really played a major role in the American railroad industry, but particularly at large in ultimately business finance and big banking and high finance that would enable a lot of American industries to really grow and to boom during this time period. He also had a reputation for helping stabilize American financing. It is noted in Milton Friedman's article, The Crime of 1873, that Morgan continued to play a role of helping kind of restore confidence in the American financial systems beginning in the 1870s, and then particularly in the 1890s during the Panic of 1893 to 1895, where he developed a plan to help save the U.S. Treasury. By the time we get to the turn of the century in 1900s, we see him in negotiation with Andrew Carnegie, and was able to actually get the Carnegie Steel Company as well as his own Federal Steel Company and create another consolidation or merger where he created the United States Steel Corporation, the world's first ever billion-dollar company in 1901. And so he had a major impact on the economics of the postbellum period. He obviously profited greatly and was very well off and well established due to the decisions and the maneuvers that he made in this postbellum period. And so it's stated by the Library of Congress that his influence was so great that one wouldn't be totally wrong in thinking that J.P. Morgan was banking. And so clearly, Morgan's investing and lending of money to different business enterprises made him a major player and gave him a considerable role in expanding American business in the United States during the postbellum period. And ultimately, he has then had a lasting influence on the American economy as a whole. Thank you.